Hello YouTube, this is Southern Wolverine, and this time we have a 3 versus 3 Rome Total War battle. And this one I'm going to team up with Patrick and Drago, and we're going to take on a random team of 3 that we set up a game with online. So my army is a Legatus unit with the Caesar rules, 3 units of auxiliary cavalry. My reserve line is 2 spear units, auxiliary infantry. My main line is 6 units of heavy infantry, 1 eagle cohort, 5 evocati cohorts. And my skirmisher formation is 5 units of auxiliary balearic slingers. It's kind of a lot of slingers. I was planning to go with 4, but one of our opponents took um, Pontus, so I was expecting a fair bit of missile cavalry. In any case, some of Patrick's troops, I believe, are here. He's Bactria, so he's got 2 units of these Bactrian horse archers. This is actually Drago's general, a unit of royal cataphracts for Parthia. And the rest of Patrick's force, he's got some thorax swords flanking a line of 6 pikes, 2 swordsmen on each side, and 4 of these Persian light archers behind them. He has some Bactrian royal cavalry and 2 Bactrian noble horse. Make that 2 Bactrian noble horse and 2 median cav. No, I'm sorry, these are actually part of the Parthian army. Yeah, see, these armies are running into each other, and their flag is similar enough that it's throwing me off. So Drago's got an all-cavalry force. He's got those 2 medians, a couple of eastern cataphracts, a couple of these units of camel cataphracts. I very much like these, although they're not quite as fast as the horses. 2 noble-blooded cavalry out here, and 3 of these armored horse archers. And we're going to zip across to our opposing armies. The Seleucid has a 5 pike unit line, 6 pike unit line, with 1 unit of silver shields, very nasty unit. And 4 eastern slingers skirmishing for them, and his cavalry has some Hellenic cataphracts for his general, and 3 Agema cavalry. Now here's the Ponic force. This is what I was worried about. Now he didn't take any horse archers, which sort of surprised me, but he's got a whole bunch of these Ponic royal cav, looks like 6 of them, and then 6 of these lighter units, mercenary Celtic horse and mercenary Celtic light horse. Yeah, it's all mercenary light horse. Um, so they're not all that dangerous. No bonus for infantry, only 15 armor. Their attack is not great. Their defense actually isn't too bad, but still not a unit that we're going to be terribly afraid of. Uh, Rome here has 4 or 5 units of these auxiliary Syrians. Maybe there's even 6. There might be 2 hidden here. And then he's got 4 units of Eagle cohort on his front line, 2 units of Evocati, 3 units of Evocati, and an Eagle cohort, I think. No, 4 Evocati as his second line, and 4 Eagle cohort as his front line, General and Bodyguard, Auxiliary Cav, and yet another unit of Pontic Royal Cavalry over here. Alright, so let's get going and watch the action. So you see, I'm kind of extended out on the flank, so I'm just going to start pulling my troops in to make an angle here. And here comes a pretty aggressive move by the Pontic player. He's just pouring out of his lines. You see there on the map, as he's just starting a general cav rush. And this is not normally a strategy I'm afraid of early in the game. There's an awful lot of horses, though. Fortunately, we have all the Parthian horse to meet him, and the Bactrian horses are nearby enough that they can run to help pretty readily. And I'm even going to start to pull over my auxiliary cavalry to try to help. It surprises me that people still think that this mass cavalry assault works. You know, we're not talking about the medieval age where, you know, heavy cavalry would just run out and run through people. It's just not going to work that way. And they also get all blobbed up too. So see, these light horse pretty much ran in it and died and routed. These Ponic Royal Cav are going to do a bit better. So they're a far better unit. And they also have 105 health, which is pretty amazing. But they're quickly going to find themselves fighting an awful lot of cavalry. See, here comes the Bactrian noble horse is going to come around and help out. These armored horse archers are shooting into them. Now these Agema Cav and Hellenic Royal Cav are coming over to help the ally out with this mass cavalry strike. So it's giving us a little something more to worry about. It's just a mass cavalry fight on this flank. See, here comes my Roman cavalry joining into the duel here, trying to get a nice rear charge on these guys. And even some of these Thorax swordsmen are coming over to get involved. So, there's a lot of cavalry that came rushing in, and even some of the Seleucid cav came to help. But they just found themselves fighting way more troops. And they're fighting too close to our infantry, so they can easily be, have cavalry and infantry fighting against them, supporting each other. Yeah, so I'm not sure if this guy actually expected this to work or what. But I'm going to do some cycle charges with my cavalry. Try to get some good rear charges in, see if I can cause some routes. So we got a unit here that's routing as it's lost almost half its men. You see, all these units pretty much are losing decisively. And they're exhausted. Maybe they used a charge ability I didn't notice. But they're all losing pretty badly. And now these horses, you see they're saying frightened horses. That's because they're fighting against these camel cataphracts. So in addition to having a 10-point bonus versus large, they actually have a morale penalty that they're having on these cavalry. So that's just going to cause these guys to rout sooner. So let's get a nice close-up on this while it's still going on. I mean, well, this is basically the action that's going on over here. Also, look at these cavalry. It looks so much bigger than these Pontic Royal Cav. Big old, heavily armed, ugly, stinking camel. Getting the job done. I do like how these guys have axes instead of swords. It seems more intimidating. So these guys look like they're on ponies looking up at these camel riders. It's pretty funny. So these units are all pretty tough, so they're not suffering casualties real fast, but they are going to, these Pontic Royal Cav are going to wear out before too long. So I tried to run an interference attack on these guys and help out in the skirmish fight. But they ran behind the pikes, so now my Cav's just going to come in for another rear charge on these Pontic Royal Cav. I don't know what he's hoping to accomplish with that. I mean, ooh, they got a charge bonus. They're already engaged. That's really not going to do them any good. So, I guess you might as well try something. And the general rallied them too to try and keep them in the fight, but they're not going to last. They're on their way out, basically. So I'm going to just disengage my cavalry and start to run around behind these guys since they don't really have much in the way of cavalry left to stop us. And I'm getting this skirmish battle now underway too. So you see I moved these 3 units up to engage, and I pulled the 2 other Balearic slingers behind also to engage. Try to focus fire on a single unit. Try to knock him out of the fight quickly and work my way down the line. Because he has the same number of troops I do, but these Syrian archers have better protection than my guys. They also have a better attack. So I really have to focus on these guys and get them out. So you see these guys are already almost destroyed, and they're going to be gone soon. So far so good. And they're going to just move on down the line. So I don't want to engage all these heavy infantry. He actually has more units of heavy infantry than I do. And my spears aren't going to be as useful anymore because their intended use was defending against cavalry. And they're not going to really have a need to do that anymore. So meanwhile, this leaves Drago and Patrick both deal with the Seleucid player, which I'm confident they can do. Because there's still a lot of cavalry left here. And this infantry force is still pretty much intact. And this guy's formation's gotten all jacked up. As my cavalry's running around behind him, he kept kind of maneuvering things around to try to protect from a rear attack, which kind of left him in this weird formation, so he doesn't really have a contiguous pike line. Although his slingers are reasonably protected at the moment. But he has a 2-to-1 disadvantage here, basically, in terms of numbers. My cavalry's running around behind it. The other Roman player is just waiting for a chance to strike. So now some of my slingers are also starting to waver and rout. I'm going to use my general for this interference attack, and he's going to get these guys to rout at least temporarily. And drive them back, again, just to try to tip the balance of this missile fight. Since I think we had the same number of guys and he had slightly better quality, I think. Of course, now he's going to try to make my Legatus pay for it on the way out. He's going to lose a couple of his bodyguards, unfortunately. Look at all the arrows coming on these guys. Yeah, he lost 2, or maybe, yeah, 4 bodyguards. Yeah, so that was kind of an expensive harassing attack, but it means these guys are now routing this unit. So the Balearics are doing their job. Really, now all I have to do is negate these skirmishers as well as I can, engage these infantry from the front, and just let all this cavalry that's wrapping around from Drago's army get a nice rear assault. So I'm running a cavalry rear assault here, try to do some damage with these guys, but mostly to catch these archers that are here. I didn't really get them as well as I hoped, so I don't want to fight all these heavy infantry, so I'm going to pull out of there. But now see, the Roman army is trying to defend multiple directions against all these horses that are behind him. So he's kind of have got a multiple front fight going here, and he's got to turn units around to face. And at this point, I've got a numerical advantage on the front line. I also have a quality advantage over these equal cohorts. These they're more expensive than the Avocati because they have they have the Inspire ability, and their melee defense is slightly better. But their attacks, he's only 47, where the Avocati are actually 61. So one-on-one, these Eagle cohort probably lose. And they're not even fighting one-on-one, they're fighting two-on-one. Look at all their shields full of javelins here, that's pretty crazy. It's hard to even tell who's who. Oh, and the Roman general is also now routing from all that cavalry that came in behind. So here's another two-on-one, and yet another two-on-one. So it's only a matter of time before these opposing Roman units can't take the onslaught. I don't know who these guys can tell who to stab. They all look the same. Just from which direction you're facing, I guess. And so now Caesar's come up, and he's done his inspiring presence ability. I don't know if that actually helped me or not, but it felt like he should do something. So here he is, inspiring everybody. So now he feels like he's got to get involved in the fray himself, since everyone else is fighting. So these spears work their way over to the flank too, and even they're in the fight, although they're fighting against Eagle cohort, who are pretty much going to devastate them. But the cav are helping out, and they're mainly just trying to keep units busy, since their primary function, really I don't need it anymore, since all the cavalry's basically dead. So, yeah, see, the general's even getting here and killing some of these Syrian archers off. Everyone's getting in the action. Yeah, so these two units both broke. Now these Romans are just getting hit from behind by my Roman troops. I can't really expect to hold long against that. These cavalry are losing and exhausted, but they held these guys in place, which allows my Roman infantry again to get a good assault on these guys. So it's only a matter of time before these guys go down. So we're basically mopping up over here. And the same thing going on over here. I mean, the Seleucid player just got surrounded. He's got some pikes still left, but they're fighting head-to-head with a larger pike unit. Same thing happened there. Those guys got skirmished pretty much into pieces. These two units are back-to-back, hoping that'll save them. And it's gonna buy them some time, but, you know, here comes these thorax swords. They get into them before the pikes get down. And, you know, these guys are going to wear down. They simply don't have enough men left to have any real hope of success. And over here, the Roman player is down just to this unit of vehicle cohort, which has now had enough. So I now hold this whole side. All these red banners are my guys. See with the yellow borders. And here, Drago and Patrick are wrapping up these guys and cleaning up the slop. Really, I'm surprised these guys held as long as they did. Alright, so, you see my cavalry didn't do a lot of damage. Actually, my general did more damage than the rest of my cavalry. But it was a good disruption unit. It distracted the Seleucid guy for a while, and as he tried to reorder his formation, and it certainly forced some of those Roman units to turn around in conjunction with Drago's cavalry coming around behind. Other than that, my skirmishers did pretty well. Certainly the ones that didn't get beat up. And my Roman infantry just outnumbered his by the time it came to it. So, good game to Patrick and Drago, and also good game to our opponents, Roscoe P. Coltrane, General, and Greenlight. And if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Southern Wolverine, and I'm signing off.